What's going on, everyone? Of course, hopping on here to talk about Roe v. Wade and today's Supreme Court decision overturning the, let's call it, constitutionality of it, and whether it's a constitutional right or not, the right to abortion. Let me know where you're tuning in from, city and state, before we get into this. And if you're tuning in from outside this great nation, let me know country, region, province. Now, I'm not going to talk about the actual decision. I'm going to leave that to legal scholars and people with law degrees to discuss. I, as many of you know, am not one to try to pontificate on subjects, matters, or incidents in which I don't have extensive knowledge or have a personal background in. So you don't see me commenting on doctors making surgical errors and killing people in the operating room to the tune of thousands a year, because I'm not a doctor and I have never operated and I've never been in an OR trying to save someone's life. However, I will speak on something that I did happen to notice, but you probably didn't. As many of you know, since this decision came out, and actually prior to it, there have been threats against the Supreme Court justices. There have been protests at their home, which were supported by the White House. It's on video. You can go and see video of White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki saying protests at the homes of Supreme Court justices is okay so long as they remain peaceful and they did not condone violence in any way. But we all know how that goes if you were alive and breathing with your eyes open during the summer of 2020. But I digress. I have, over the last few hours, seen more threats of violence, not only with regard to Supreme Court justices at their homes where they live, but quite a bit of outright threats and outright plans to do great damage and great violence at the Supreme Court, to the Supreme Court building. Now, let me ask you this. Have you, over the last year, 6 months, whatever, especially over these last few weeks, heard certain people saying that what happened on January 6th at the Capitol building was horrible, it was disgusting, it was a threat to our democracy, and all these other things that I'm not saying I disagree with or I agree with. I'm not here for that. However, although I have said in the past, as far as what they were trying to do was absolutely horrific. I mean, I've been public about that what happened at the Capitol and what they were trying to do at the Capitol, disgusting and un-American. Now, let's talk about what they're talking about doing now. So I took a little bit of time and I went to the Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram accounts of some people who've been very vocal about how horrible what happened at the Capitol on January 6th was. I mean, how terrible, threat to democracy, our system, the violence, the this, the that. And once again, I'm not saying they're wrong, I'm not saying they're right, but they were very vocal about it. Very vocal about it. But now, those same people, and it's actually crazy, they didn't even have the mind to delete what they said prior and delete their prior posts. Their posts are still there. As early as a week ago, while the January 6th hearings were going on, they were talking about what should happen to the people who entered the Capitol and how disgusting and how violence and all this stuff. Those same people today, after the decision came out by the Supreme Court, were calling to charge the Supreme Court and burn the Supreme Court down. The building down. Some of those same people were calling to go to the homes of Supreme Court justices and do the same to their homes and cause physical harm to these justices. The same people who were saying that what happened on the 6th was awful. I'm getting worked up here. I'm getting verklempt. So, I don't know how in this society that we're living in right now, people are so disconnected from their own reality that they literally don't realize, like they're cognitively blind to, last week I was saying this was bad and this was wrong, this was anti-American, threat to democracy, and I posted it publicly on social media. This week I am saying that doing all those same things to a different building and to the private residence of Supreme Court justices is okay and should be done. These people are disconnected from their own, not disconnected from reality. They're disconnected from their own reality. They're completely going against what they stood for and their stance on violence and our democracy and our legal system and our justice system. They're literally saying the exact opposite less than 72 hours later. And they're not even ashamed of it. They're not even trying to hide what they said 48 hours ago. They're not even trying to hide it. And today they're just kind of saying that what they were denouncing 72 hours ago is what should be done tonight. I don't know the clinical definition of mental illness, but I would have to believe that this is in some way, shape, or form mental illness. So, what I want to know, and I think that many people watching want to know, is if something happens at the Supreme Court building, similar to what happened on January 6th at the Capitol, will the response be the same? That's all people want to know. Will the response be the same? Will the people who are doing the damage and the violence, will they be treated the same way as those that entered the Capitol on January 6th? That's all most people want to know. Will they be put in jail for the same amount of time? Will people who go to the homes of Supreme Court justices, that I feel like that's, there's obviously the Supreme Court sacred building, but now you're talking about the personal homes, the personal residences. These people don't have the protections that they have at the court there. Now they might. But now on top of it, at the court, it's just them. Now they have their spouses, their children, their pets, and not to mention their neighbors are now dealing with this. I don't know about you, but if I'm a Supreme Court justice, no, I don't want crazy people at my house trying to burn it down and trying to threaten to come in and kill me. But I surely don't even want to live next door to that. I don't care if I live next door. I don't want a bunch of crazy people next door trying to burn my neighbor's house down and trying to burn them down and, light them on fire, because ultimately that's going to affect me somehow, some way, right? No one wants that. At least if you're a neighbor, you don't want that. So what we need to see is an equal response, an equal outrage, and an equal response to the violence should it erupt. And I think we all kind of know, once again, if you had a pulse during the summer of 2020, we all know that there's a pretty good chance that there's going to be some sort of violence, right? So, I mean, you know, CNN called it peaceful protest while there was a church on fire in the background and a police car with a Molotov cocktail through it, and literally right behind him, and CNN called that a peaceful protest. So maybe these will be peaceful protests at the homes of Supreme Court justices and at the Supreme Court. Maybe they'll be very peaceful. I mean, remember the headline, the CNN headline? Fiery but peaceful. Fiery but peaceful protest. Fiery but mostly peaceful protest. As the inferno going behind him. So anyway, that's what we want to know. Will there be equal and just treatment? Because you're going to lose a lot of people if some bad things happen at the Supreme Court, or some bad things happen at the homes of the Supreme Court justices, and these people are not brought to justice, and they're given a slap on the wrist, or they are bailed out by money raised by politicians and celebrities. You're going to see a big shift, right? Now, I'll say this. I won't be surprised if we see the violence, and those committing the violence, there's no repercussions. There's no action taken against them. I wouldn't be the slightest bit surprised. And most of the people watching this right now wouldn't be surprised either. Because we all know that the people who just a few months prior, who tried to burn buildings down in Washington, D.C., they lit the library on fire, they were lighting things on fire, they were destroying things, breaking things, causing millions and millions of dollars of damage in Washington, D.C., just a few months prior to January 6th. All those people, scot-free. Nothing happened to them. We all know that. We all know that. Nothing happened to those people. They burned, they looted, they destroyed Washington, D.C., right across from the Capitol and right across from the White House. Summer of 2020, nothing happened. We all know that. That's no secret. But January 6th, the people who breached the Capitol, I'm not saying that they didn't deserve it, but were thrown in jail for over a year. Rumor has it some are still in jail. And now we have hearings and all this stuff. Okay? All right. So let's see if it happens. I don't know if anyone is willing to take a bet right now that if it happens, it'll be treated at the same level as the January 6th incident. If anyone would like to take that bet with me, that it will, if anything happens over the next couple days at the Supreme Court or to the homes of Supreme Court justices, that those perpetrators will be treated the same way the January 6th rioters were treated from a legal standpoint. And there'll be the Grand Inquisition as well to get to the bottom of it, like the January 6th hearings right now. So let's see if that happens. I'm saying no. I'm 99% sure it's no. But what do you think? I'd like to know in the comments. Do you think there's any chance in hell that anyone would... Sorry about that. I know it's a family-oriented show. Sorry about the saying the H word there. But, yeah, so what do you think? Let me know. One other thing that you may not have heard of, and I was going to do a separate video on this, but just a few days ago, late night host Stephen Colbert sent in a team of people to break into the Capitol. Yes. And their mission was to disrupt certain employees working within the Capitol, banging on their door, disrupting their work. Now, the team, I believe it was 9 people went in, I believe 7 people got arrested. They all work for Stephen Colbert and The Late Show. He sent them in, they tried to get in, and Capitol Police kicked them out. Then, somehow a phone call was made to a politician, and a politician, a sitting politician, let them in. maybe through an unlocked back door, side door, whatever. Let them in. And then they proceeded through the Capitol, disrupting the workflow of certain politicians, just specific ones. And you could probably assume which ones they were trying to bother. Now, they were arrested. They were arrested for the same exact charge as those who breached the Capitol on January 6th. So all 7 people sent there by Stephen Colbert, working for The Late Show with Stephen Colbert, all 7 people were arrested. And they were all released a day later. Not a year later. No, this just happened a few days back. They were all released the next day. They were charged with the same charge that the people on January 6th were charged with, that were in jail for over a year. But these folks were released after a day. Same charge. Can anyone watching in the comment section please let me know how that could possibly be a reality right now today? After what happened on January 6th, and we're literally having the January 6th hearings right now, how a late night host can send a team of people into the Capitol to break in. They're assisted by a sitting politician at the Capitol, and they go in not to walk around, not to sightsee, but they went in with the specific purpose of disrupting. It's open. It's public knowledge. You guys could read the police report. Their goal was to go in and disrupt certain politicians. Isn't that disrupting justice? Isn't that a threat to our democracy? How is it not? And if you charge one person with a charge, and you keep them in jail for over a year, and you charge another person with the same charge for doing the same thing, and you keep them in prison for the night, how does that really look? That's when you start losing people. At least the sane people, the normal people. That's when you start losing them, because they start seeing the double standard. I mean, if you can't see the double standard yet, you're blind. Maybe literally blind, but maybe cognitively blind. But there's definitely something to be said about that. So let's see what happens with this Supreme Court matter. Chime in, let me know what you think. Get ready. You all might want to go to 221btactical.com and check out some of the gear that we have to protect yourself, your family, your loved ones in your home, outside your home. Should you be living anywhere near any of these crazies and crazy occurrences, that you are right if you believe they're going to happen. Because our goal is to give you the gear and apparel and stuff like that to keep you safer and give you more protection and more peace. That's what we're trying to do. But remember, last week, January 6th, awful, terrible, disgusting. This week, burn it all down. Burn them too. These people, they don't even hide it. They don't even hide it. Have a good night, folks.